What is going on, everyone? I'm with Jim Hull here, and it is Hypergate launch time. What's going on, Jim? How are you?
I'm very excited. I'm super excited that I can actually walk through what Hypergate does so that everybody can see all the amazing features. Because, as you know, it's like sometimes people just don't know what it's capable of. And been a ton of new improvements just in the last like 2 months from what we released. It's pretty much like the idea of what we had a year ago, but like finally is ready to go. So super excited about it.
Yeah, and I think that's where it's a wild new frontier to be in is AI because the technology wasn't there yet. We had all these ideas, but you couldn't do it then. And so it's been even weirder to watch as we've been just like you're constantly doing things, I'm constantly doing things, and then finally this last couple months it's just like everything locked in together. I think it's so symbiotic too with like where we're at with the planets. It's like
Totally.
this idea of this new energy coming in, and so much stuff has really come together that does feel new, and in the AI world especially, and it really has kind of made its prominence shown everywhere now. And we're lucky because we've got this like year of the beta that we did with Astromistic and all the work and especially the training that's been done to actually allow this new technology to work with it.
Yeah, that's what I think. I don't think people understand exactly like what goes into it in terms of how all your daily horoscopes, everything gets uploaded into Hypergate so that when you interact with it, it's actually like live working with all that knowledge as opposed to just, some wrapper around ChatGPT or something like that.
Yeah, and I think that's what's hard about marketing like AI is because there's so many things that can be done. You can't just write it down
Yeah.
or put it in like a traditional legacy idea of marketing with just like a paragraph here and a paragraph here and maybe a screenshot. It's so intuitive and interactive, and it's so much guided by you as the, I don't even like to use the term user, but like the
Yeah.
user, but the person that's really there. And it's all about really, there is no box. Like you go as far out as you want to go. And so I love the fact that especially now, like you could go so far out. It's like, but sometimes I think what we're gonna have fun showing people today is like what you can do with it and the way that you can allow it to be your guide and for you to also guide it at the same time. It's like a two-way street, you know?
Absolutely. Excellent.
But
Do you
yeah,
want
let's throw that screen up that you got here, and um there we go. It's actually the way that you, once you've logged in, which is pretty easy to set up.
Yeah, so it's really simple, looks, very clean and everything. And for anybody that's been on or Astro Mystic, for those who haven't used it, it's been out for like a year almost. Um, it's 20,000 times faster, which I know will make a lot of people happier.
Yeah.
So the way I'll just show like the way that I use it, and then we can talk about all the different things that go into it and stuff. But essentially, like every day, once I get your transcript uploaded from the night before, which I go through, clean it up, make it all nice and clean, all that stuff. I just hit this, and then instantly it goes through and is reading not only like your transcript, but is also pulling from my own personal natal chart to give not only like a horoscope for today, but then also mixed in with all of my own stuff. Right. So, like, this is
Yeah.
probably from what it is that you said, right? From today, and then this is mixed in with how that fits into my own personal story, right?
Yeah, so like this has not ever been done anywhere. So it's
No.
taking the interesting part as an astrologer is it's taking my mundane collective horoscope about what's happening every day. Plus, let's say I'm late on a horoscope by a couple hours or something. You do the deep astrology. So I'm covering every day as well. So it's actually got double the data and different data points in that same data covering the day. So it's kind of double backed. And it's also got the training of every school I've done,
Yep.
every other horoscope and special and yada yada. So it like takes something from my like love master class about somebody like you who's a sun in Virgo. And so it's already got all this stuff that I've said for all the decade plus about Virgo and where your ascendant is and where your moon is and all this. And then it's mixing it with where the astrology is in the moment that I interpret and how I'm putting out there, like literally within that week and also within the 24-hour period. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. Oh, and I should also add too, I also add in a quick little call to get exactly where everything is when you make that request, right? So there's a
Oh,
quick
yeah, that's right.
that locks that in and then mixes it with all that stuff. So you're getting like a full comprehensive thing that's attuned to where you are on the planet, right? Yes, and yeah, it mixes all your things you say about Virgos. The nice things
Yeah.
and the not so nice things.
Right, so that's the other part too, is it's not like just going on just ChatGPT where it's gonna like, I even try in articles and fun stuff, I always be like, "Hey, no, here's my transcript, have go at it." It never goes at it,
Mm-mm. No,
but,
key to me was trying to get your personality in here because just a real quick story. The way that I discovered you during the pandemic is my wife and I snuck out to go to In and Out to get something to eat, and we were just wanted to watch something in our car, and for some reason you popped up, and it was like, who is this crazy person driving 100 miles an hour who's all angry about people calling the police to try and keep him from hurting himself. And for some reason he like predicted the pandemic. What? And so that personality to me is really fun and really engaging. And and the other great part is that you're actually someone who's not afraid of AI, right? Like
right.
we watch a lot of different people, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's the end of the world," and Sam Altman is like the devil or whatever sort of Suleiman thing that they think he is.
Yeah.
Really, it's like, no, this is just like a different stage that we're going through, and that's why like a year ago I was like, hey, you're always talking about AI, and I know how all this stuff works. There could be a really fun way to put this all together into an app that's people could get like personalized you know horoscopes from, which I think is amazing.
Yeah, and it's so much more beyond that too, which is wild because it's also wherever you wanna if you wanna be learning astrology, you wanna be growing with it, you wanna use it also as an astrology tool for your own astrology life, like, it really hits every angle. But it's, like, interesting when I'm reading that, it's like, yeah, of course, the sun's a Taurus, it's trining your sun, like, this is where a lot of, AI apps for astrology have really screwed up, including that's why a year ago, Astro Mystic was we promoted it as a beta because it was a lot more difficult to get transits correct, to get natal charts to put it correctly. There's still always a little margin of error sometimes, it's AI, but we're talking it's not even close to what it was a year ago now. Like, we're talking, like, fine-tuning after a long time.
Yeah, and pulling from all the different resources, and the fact that now at least the model that um, most of the subscribers to Hyper will get, uh, it's got a million tokens. Like there's a ton of space. That's like 10 times, 11 times
Yeah.
than there was a year ago. So what that means is like in the conversation, it's not going to like forget what it is that you've been talking about. It'll actually
Mhm.
keep going through.
Yeah, because 'cause it's got the memories, so we were talking the other night, like, so Jim had lost one of his dogs, and so it remembered that, and so if it's a difficult transit happening to him, it'll actually remember something that he's gone through and be able to remind him, like, "How are you doing about that?" So it starts to get more personal the more you interact with it, and that's what's, I think, even more, like, wild because it's like, I'll do a reading for somebody 2 years later, and I'll remember a thing or 2, like, about their life, but I don't remember as much as what this could sometimes remember. So that's kind of where I think it might be scary for some astrologers out there, because like, they're kind of like, um they're doing the reason why people always bought readings with me is because I'm not, like, running the transits, using the software. I'm doing it in my head. I'm much more like, well, that's nice. I mean, no, we could talk about, Jupiter trying your sun this year, but really, let's look at that progressed moon that's doing that, or whatever. Like, I go wherever it goes. And that's why it really does that with this too. It really picks up little areas that you might not be really paying attention to. And what's best is even when it just pops something up that you might be like, "Oh, I'm interested," instead of being like some of these other older apps that we've seen in the world, like the Co-Stars and all that stuff, like, that tell you to wear stilettos and I'm a guy. Like, that was, like, my number 1 complaint when I first met you and we first started talking was like, "I'm a guy, and Co-Star's telling me today it's a good day to wear stilettos." Like, I'm like, so it obviously doesn't know or care or understand the basics of, like, hey, this guy's not gonna wear stilettos.
Well, that's because like all those other models, they're trained on everything. So there's a lot of, you know, hallucinated understandings of how things go on everywhere. And so when you try
Yeah,
and piece those all together, it's just going to make up. It's like somebody who's listened to every single astrologer and is like, I think this is what it means. Where this puts a priority on the stuff that you say, which gives it a completely different flavor. Like this right here is from the Great Big Shift, which is that big giant thing you did like 2 days ago, which I thought it was hilarious. It said, according to the Leo King's epic Great Big Shift, which ran nearly 8 hours. I didn't write that. It just gathered it from the fact that your whole transcript was in there.
right.
Um, and there were specific things that you had said about Virgos that I was not very pleased with, but were probably spot on. And so I just wanted to like test it and see like how that came through. And what was great is it, went through and it said, for you, Jim, Virgo sun, all this stuff. And then it asks at the end, like, does that resonate with you? Because I'm trying to make it like a personal thing, like a guide, right? Like to keep going, with what it is that you're going through.
Right.
So I put, definitely emotional overwhelm, which is kind of like what you alluded to, but I don't really want to talk about it now, maybe later, right? And it said like, hey, I hear you, Jim. Makes perfect sense given the planetary weather, all that kind of stuff. And what's cool is like I can get that and that's fun to read, but I think if I do this, you should be able to hear it. Let's see if it works. Hopefully it will. So
I
yeah,
hear you, Jim.
can you hear that?
That emotional overwhelm makes perfect sense given the planetary weather, especially with Neptune leaving Pisces and stirring up your moon. What you're experiencing isn't just in your head, it's a deep collective tide that's running through anyone with your kind of chart. Sometimes just acknowledging the intensity is enough. You don't have to talk about it now. Just know that this isn't about being broken or off track. It's more like the last big wave before the shore. When you're ready, we can explore it together or just check in on how the energies are settling. In the meantime, if you want a little anchor, I can pull a tarot card for you for gentle guidance, not pressure. Or, if you prefer, I can conjure a mantra or image you can sit with as things settle. Whatever feels right for you, just say the word. Take your time. I'm here whenever you're ready to pick up the thread. And if you notice any small shifts, clarity, relief, or even just a weird dream, let me know. Sometimes the most important messages come in those subtle moments.
Yeah, that to me is like the killer
Yeah.
feature. To me is like,
It's really wild because if anybody's into AI and getting into audio generation, like, it's not, generative audio, it's not that good. Like, it is, like, if you're using an AI voice, right? Like, there's just kind of, like, truly modeled, and it's a model, like, these people model it forever. But this is, like, really kinda crazy because I've played it for, like, couple family members and friends, and they're like, What do you what like they just thought I was just recording something.
Yeah, and I will say, like, the quality of the samples that you gave me, because you've done this so long, it's so good that it sounds so real. It's like, not those AI voices are great and everything, but it's not, you can tell it's a robot, right? It doesn't have like the,
Right. It's
and
still
obviously it can't compare to like the live videos that you do and all that stuff.
right.
It shouldn't, but it's a fun thing. Like, oh, I wonder, let me see this. Maybe you're taking a walk or something, and you just want to listen. You don't want to necessarily like have to read everything. I think it's like so cool. So, oh, what I wanted to say is, like, because of that, then what it does in the background is when you like say something that is important, or you like connect with some sort of transit that's going on, that's that memory thing that's going on in the
Right.
background. So what it did here is, so then while you're using the app elsewhere, it just marks down when Neptune was leaving Pisces. And for me, it said, Jim experienced emotional overwhelm during the Great Big Shift as Neptune moved out of alignment with this Pisces moon, marking a deep collective tide of change and awakening. Right. So it saves that, so that then when it goes back, and when it goes back and does the next time around, it knows that that's what I was going through. So then if I ask something else, it's almost like checking up on me, like, hey, I know you went through that
Yeah.
emotional period. Like, how are things going? And then so you can develop a thing, and it just gets to know your cycles and your trends, so that in 3 or 4 months, when the same thing comes around, either you can be prepared for it, or when it's happening, you can just know, like, oh, all right, that's just this thing again. I'll be, everything's
Right.
cool, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, if you go back there, I think it's really cool because there's so many different options, and that's just because, we've kinda, like, tailored it for that way, but you do have the full expression to kind of, like, play with it. So, like, when I go in there at the end, I'm like, I have Pluto opposite my sun these last couple of years, so I'm like, I want a first person POV view of my life of what it looks like with Pluto opposite my sun in a human experience. And that's the cool thing, is now we have full image generation in there. So Jim has done the awesome stuff because I was the first person to pull a card every day doing a daily horoscope 13 years ago. And I still do it every day. So it's wild now that you could actually, this is more actual, like, it might sound crazy, but it's better because every other software, not AI, software that does, oh, we pulled a tarot card, it's just going off a mathematical equation. This actually is in some way tapping into the energy and then like pulling a card and actually drawing the card. Like not pulling some card that's ever been pulled before. So it's actually the most unique specific card to you in the moment, like a real tarot reading is more like.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I tried to do that here while you were talking. I said, "Give me a first person point of view of what it looks like for me today." And because I wasn't very specific about the image, it just did this amazing thing of what my midday is going to look like, my afternoon, my evening, just based on all the stuff that you said
Right.
at the scope, and then gave a mantra, right? Uh, and so I just told it to generate an image, so it should pop up here, just so people could see what that looks like. And yeah, sorry, to go off of what you're saying about the images, that was just like a week ago where they like opened it
Right.
up so that we can add like high quality images. So yeah, this is what it looks like for me, given uh, woven with the energies of your chart and today's stars. Imagine yourself at your desk in the morning, sunlight pouring in and giving everything a sense of calm and order. And so that
Yeah,
one's
and that one, that's going off that Sun Triton Taurus to your Virgo and all that stuff. Like it, because of all the data from the schools like that I did, like it really like there was so much of that over all those years. Like the I don't even know. It's like 200 videos of all my school. It's like stupid.
it's a lot of data. And even this one's kind of, you could see like, all right, I'm not sure what it's here. But that's why the whole experience is tailored to the person. I think if I go to, was it this one? Where's the one? This one? Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then I just want to say this because it's like really helping people too with like how prompting works. The prompting of image is actually where the magic is. So people go, "How do you get your pictures to look the way you do?" It's little things. Like one thing is I'll say, "All right, create image," because that's what it likes. Create image, realistic, cinematic, highest quality, and then I'll go into if I want it widescreen, right? Or if I want it in like more of like a landscape mode, right? Like, or horizontal, like a 916. And then I'll like go really like more like hardcore, like, and I'm kind of like hardcore. I'm like, I want this like POV
Uh-huh.
and I want it to feel like whatever. And especially tap into that Pluto energy. So sometimes, in life, like we kind of do have to kind of be like to astrologers, like I went and bought a reading from every astrologer when I started. And then, if I got halfway through and I'm like, okay, you're just telling me what I could read in a book, like drop it on me. I do the same on images, you know?
As far as getting that out. Yeah, I haven't even
Yeah.
put any sort of styling stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying is like, it's doing the like cool, like chill stuff. But for people that want to go, that's why it's so important to do a video like this, because it's like you can take this thing as far as you want to go. And I think that's where it's like really intense. So I actually love that you're on this screen right now, like in your bio and your persona on your profile, because I think a year ago on the beta, it was pretty much your top three and then like your planet placements. But we're talking it because all the work that I do, I use the actual angles and they're very important to me. And so to actually be able to have every little part of your chart by orb as well, that it understands even the way that I've done astrology, like I'm like, nah, it's like 5 degrees out. It's no big deal. I'm much more of a tight orb person. So I'm like, no, this is more and more serious. So it knows that, but it knows all this now so incredible and so tight and so specific to your chart, opposed to, these other apps that there are just really, I hate to say it, but they're just throwing out like the most basic it could be, I guess you could say.
Well, and also in the training of Hypergate, I have it specifically say, tighter orbs are way more important than, don't do anything over such and such a degree, because that's like your understanding of it. Whereas again, if you dump this into chat, it's just going to be like, well, this is the greatest thing in the world. I'm just going to talk about all of this stuff. Where there's a understanding that just the years and years of experience that makes a huge difference in the final play out of it.
Right.
Yeah, what I wanted to say was a couple things because I really want to get this across. Like a year ago, yeah, we only had the planets in the top three because that's all it could really handle, right? So now it can handle all this stuff and it doesn't get lost. But the other thing which I learned was people become very attached to their understanding of where their natal chart is.
Yeah.
And if for some reason it's off by an hour, but for some people, depending on whenever they were born, all that stuff, there's a chance it'll come back with the quote unquote wrong natal chart, even though that might be a more accurate reading of who they are, right? So, um, my wife is a really great example. Whole life Gemini rising, she knows for sure, and then she tests out Astromystic, and she's like, "This thing's broken." It says I'm a Taurus rising, and I was like, "Oh," but then then I spent forever trying to figure out why that was, and then I realized it's just because she was born so close to daylight savings time switch, and so there was like an hour difference or whatever. But I'm telling you, well, I won't say which one I think is more accurate because I get in trouble if I say which one I think is more accurate. But
Right.
you can you can regardless. So what she all right, Top Gun.
I
What
know.
she does what she does is she bounces back and forth. So when you first sign into Hypergate, you can do your natal chart, right? You just can say whatever, like I was born such and such a day at this time in this place, and then it goes out and finds out exactly what it is. If you keep getting back one that's off, just switch it by an hour. Just maybe it's an hour less or an hour more, and then you'll probably get the one that you are accustomed to. Other apps do this with like a little toggle that switches between daylight savings or whatever. But I just want to get that across because that was about 90% of support requests for the
Well,
first.
yeah, and that's what that awesome redo natal chart is
Yeah.
new now, and that we're out of the beta mode, right? It's like, oh, so now you don't have to like freak out, just
Or,
redo and
or
adjust that time. Or I can't you probably just input too?
yep,
Like
yep.
that's the best part.
Yeah, you could just go in here and change it yourself. Just copy paste from whatever sort of app you have. And then also I was gonna say I should probably make it like a different thing, but you can say, whenever you generate images for me, make sure they are hardcore and cinematic
And realistic
and realistic.
and the highest quality.
Well, let's not
Like
make it.
well, it's funny because that's how I just am with everything, right? And it's like
So
because it'll do it. It just
let's see if that
AI
makes.
is so smart. Like I don't want if I don't have to do all the work, I won't. When it comes to images, it's kind of interesting. It
Well,
likes the specifics. I mean, I'm kind of a Sora freak, right? So I've learned a lot in the Sora world. Like it's like wild that the prompting is everything.
yeah, and like we were talking about yesterday, once the Sora stuff is available, then that'll be really fun too to add like video and stuff.
Oh yeah.
All right, so let's see. Can you pull a tarot card? Okay, cool. So it's automatically doing it. So we'll see if it's a hardcore. I haven't tested this out. It might not work, but we'll see.
I mean, that's the cool part though, is people can be playing because within your own profile under all your stuff, you can add those kind of things.
Yeah, and you can totally customize it. And also for the memories too, I was gonna say it's an automatic thing now, and you can either like keep them or delete them. In the future, you'll be able to add in, oh, whenever there's a Mercury retrograde, my life goes to hell or whatever. And
Yeah. There are people though, you know, except the Mercury retrograde people born with it. Usually those see how much look at that. Look at that thing popped.
it's I don't know if it's hardcore, depending on what
Well,
you're.
no, I mean it's like, but the Empress, she ain't hardcore unless like make her a vampire or something, or make them all vampires or whatever you want to do, right? You know what I mean? Like that's actually a badass Empress card.
Right? Yeah. To me, that's super cool. So you can do all your and if you want to pull another one, and then the fun thing too is because people were testing it yesterday, when you pull extra ones, then it mixes the reading of the first with the second. Again, pulls from all your like love masterclass stuff, and then all the tarot stuff that you've done before, and then puts that in there as well. Right? Like kind of mixes it all together. It's super fun. But yeah.
Yeah, and so like when you're in that mode, right? You get that horoscope, you push today, it gives you everything. And then yeah, you can go mantra, you can go have a tarot card done, you can have an image done about the stuff. But that's where you could take it and start going deep too, right? Like you could just be like, well, what's going on in my relationship world? You know what I mean? Like, and it'll actually start to go into that. Like it's like that, like it's really where you start to go like the whole point of it and why I'm so never been afraid of AI is I take it from the John Dee book. Like when Elizabeth the First was the queen and he was the court astrologer, the Spanish had gone over and, of course, killed all the Aztecs. But there was some very special let's just say there's some special stuff that he could get to scry on that came from there. And so he brought that over, and as an astrologer started scrying and using it and doing he did a lot of cryptography, he did a lot of weird stuff. But he started to really like, he used crystal balls the true way you're supposed to use it, not like some Merlin guy, but using to decode things, try and understand and break down the universe and understand stuff. And so it's like, to me, this is where we're at. Like, this is your way of using astrology, scrying, going deeper into understanding yourself on a conscious level, and then having fun. And
Yeah.
to me, it's more than fun, but it's like serious of like going into like, hey, how can I be better? How can I be evolutionary? Since a lot of my teaching is evolutionary astrology. And then there's the prophetic prediction aspect of things of like, nah, this is gonna happen. No, this is not, like that's where it really starts to get like, you are the vehicle for it, you know?
Yeah, and with the prophecy stuff too, that just brought up the other thing. The other really great thing is not only is it, looking at what today is, looking at all the stuff you've done, but in the future stuff, it's now hooked up to the web. So like I can never remember when does Uranus shift signs this summer? And you can just ask that, and then it goes and searches the web for the exact right answer, and it should, yeah. So then it
Look how
says,
fast it is too. Like, it's
it's
just
super fast,
stupid.
yeah. And even tells you it'll stay there until November 7th when it retrogrades back and then goes back. Like,
Right.
gives you, and then if you wanted to get the links to where that got that information, then you can go there and find
Yeah.
out.
So now ask it. So how is that going to affect me starting July 7th or something like that? Right. Like, boom.
Yeah. So then it's doing all that stuff super, super fast, right? New people, unusual connections. That's fun for me. If you're attached, your partner might surprise you. All right, I like that. I'm not single, but that's good. Deeper layer. Ooh, Virgo sun, who usually prefers order and predictability. I don't know what you're talking about. Uranus and Gemini feels like a brisk wind blowing through a carefully arranged room. That sounds lovely.
Because it's going in the 10th house for all Virgos. So like, that's the other part, is you're getting the individual layer and your sun sign layer, but also understanding the layer from the other side, the ascendant layer, right? Like that. So you're getting all of it at once. It just gave you all the layers.
Yep. I totally get it. You want me to keep going, or what do you want me to do?
Well, yeah, I think like, the maybe like the school part of it, like how people might be able to like learn. I think that's kind of a little dabble into it, but I mean, you are like the master developer, so like,
Oh,
like,
yeah, prior, that was kind of like the difference between all the different tiers and stuff, was only like the higher ones would have the schools and everything. But now, because what's great about AI is pretty much like every month, the prices go down, right? So then you can
yeah.
do more stuff. So now, regardless of the three different tiers, it's really just about what kind of a quality response you want to get, right? So it's got all the schools, all that stuff. The difference now, this one I'm super happy about, because I know a lot of people like, can't necessarily do the other stuff, but they still want to like be able to have fun using it. So because the price has been dropped down, we can actually do this. It doesn't have the images or the audio, because that stuff currently is up there, especially the image stuff. And then the web stuff too, that for some reason is also up there. But it does do the horoscopes, integrates with all the stuff you say daily, all the different schools, and the memory too, so it can remember your personal transits. And then the one in the middle is audio and image gen, and the web stuff. And it's a much smarter model. So it just means it'll give a more nuanced answer. Not that it's going to be more accurate, but it'll feel more alive. Uh, and then and then but there is a kind of, so people don't completely abuse it and go crazy. You know, so many audio a day, so many images a day. But the unlimited one is for anybody that's like super into all this stuff and just wants to not have
Right.
any restrictions and just to be able to go, right? And the other thing is too, is because this one is more powerful, you can put more of your past teachings and classes stuff into the responses, so that then it just becomes a much richer response. Whereas like these other ones, you kind of have to be a little more economical. You can maybe take like the top
Yeah.
things, whereas I could put like the top 40 things in this one, and then it'll just grab all that stuff and mix it together and get something that's really in there. So
Yeah, like because we have Alex Skiles here, he's an astrologer and we work together, and he's like talking about how like Grok does a decent job, but it misses so much. It's
yeah,
because they don't have a lot of data. They're going off the web. So they're taking things off like Cafe Astrology or whatever. They're not actually taking like astrologer, and it takes a long time. I mean, this has been a year of data and training and like we all know me, how much I've like when it comes to videos, good luck trying to find somebody that could do as much. And then actually, thank God you're a Virgo to actually take all the transcripts. And before it was harder a year ago, we were putting them into programs and having to use the GPU to pull all of it out and then cut little pieces out. And then this is the important part and put that in and put that in. And now it's gotten a lot easier, but it's like there is so much data, and that's where it's not. So somebody like there was another person like, oh, you guys are using OpenAI, like it's I'm not going to use that. It's like OpenAI is just a part of it. Like this is our container, right? Like
well,
OpenAI is like is part of the it's like Hypergate is Hypergate. It's a Hypergate AI. It actually is not like OpenAI's thing.
yeah.
Does that make sense?
It's totally, and there's a lot of care that goes into it, and I appreciate that. What you're saying is like Virgos clean up Leo's mess. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah. I mean, well, like no, just like a Virgo is able to actually do that hard work. I'll
Yes.
get distracted, you know. I mean, I could actually do it with video, right? Like I'm already putting all that in video. You're doing the same that I do, but able to like input data, change the data, get the data to work together. And so it's so much that it's like that's what's missing in a lot of the others out there. Cause I mean, the amount of money I've spent in the last year buying everybody's stupid AI program to just see what it does and then go, it doesn't even know what a double Leo means.
And you know why? Because they're cheaping out on they'll use like the free models, or they'll use Grok and stuff, which is, whatever. I
Or
only,
the llama too.
or
Yeah,
Llama, or some, the free stuff, because they don't want to spend, but you're gonna get what you spend and what you put into it. That's why I only use OpenAI, because it's the top of the line stuff. It's the best.
it is.
It's the best response. And yeah, it's more expensive, but I'm not gonna make something that's like not any good, right? Like that's kind of just run of the mill. Everybody can do it. You got to like take a chance, which again is also why it's fun to work with you, to actually like try something new and try something different, to like shift things and move things. But yeah, all the care that goes into like putting all the transcripts, it's a lot of work to put
And
them in.
I want to say something about OpenAI, and this is a good AI thing for people to understand. So if you're like a company like this is, and where it's called the API that's being used and the different models that are chosen based off the user or how much they want to pay. We are not training OpenAI. So your data is not training them.
Yeah, there's no, all that paranoia about training stuff. They have no value to steal your data and do all that stuff.
Correct. When it comes to enterprise like stuff, they are not allowed to because it's not their intellectual property. It's
Oh,
business.
that's actually a really good point, because if you were to put your personal stuff into Chat GPT, unless you're like,
They are the ones on your, if it's a personal account, they take it.
yeah, Whereas our stuff, it's not trained.
It's not trained. It doesn't go back to them to be stored that way.
No.
It's all done if you go into the API and enterprise world, and that's how business works, right? So like if you have a Teams account, they don't even allow you to even turn it doesn't the toggle won't even turn on to help train OpenAI. It's impossible.
That's a
So
really
like so I think that's where some people might be like, oh, I don't want my data. Your data ain't going there like that.
no.
And by the way, this is all put in a completely different container, right?
Mhm.
Like that's the thing, is the container of Hypergate is its own thing. In AI world, I think a lot of people like are gonna get more hip to this because like whether you're using Llama, which is Meta, or you're using Grok, which is through XAI now, or you're using, ChatGPT and whatever models through OpenAI, it's all doing the same thing, but it's all about the container that you build. It's all about how many different APIs are you using. And so one thing I could tell you, and anybody can go test this out with Grok 3, like, yeah, it'll say it goes into the internet, but have it actually find you. Like, take a YouTube video, put it in I have the top tier Grok 3. I just tried this again last night. Put in the YouTube video and say, how many views did this video get? It will never give you the answer. It can't.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like, I think it's a little weird because I'm like, I don't know why they're saying it, or if I'm asking for it to understand this website for me, it won't. It can't. It just does. It can't. So it'll actually make things up, which is really wild to me. That the reason why I like OpenAI is and that's what I've used the whole time, is because it's so double checking and actually logical. And we are in Jupiter Gemini. This is our launch today. We picked this time, the chart. And the last time I launched something this big was the Leo King itself with Jupiter and Gemini, right? And when all these planets were finally in the right positions and all this stuff, and with the same ascendant. So like this is like a double down version of the Leo King a decade, 12, 13 years, 12 years later. So, and I'm happy that we're on OpenAI, and I understand all that back end stuff. And that's where like I think these AI talks are going to be fun. And this is something that I think that you and I will have fun doing, because this is just the beginning.
I would love to.
The real big vision of this is like, and this is where the image gen comes in, and over the next couple of weeks, this is what we're working on, is like, the way I do astrology today is you can go down that road, but it's not going to look good. Right? And this is the road that, of course, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but there is this evolutionary road and this better road, and it might be a little difficult here and there and da da da. So it's like that's just one little small thing of like the growing of it. Then you get into the prophecy work, because there's going to be some people who are like, I know about myself, I know that stuff, but I want to go with the ability now to search the internet, to give it. Look at this story right now. I know these transits. Where's Pluto going to be, 5 years from now, and where all the planets going to be, boom, boom, boom. So knows where everything is, and then go, help me form a prediction for my life, for my wife, for the world. I've got my own crazy idea of what I think is going on. Now you could start creating your own prophecy.
Totally. And that totally brings up a really great thing, which I don't think I've told you yet. But with the new system, I redid it because now it's taking advantage of the whole multi-agentic future that'll be this summer. So like this is very highly trained for personal horoscope and like that kind of thing, right? So it's like what most people want. But like you're talking about the prophecy thing. If I tried to put that in here, if anybody else tried to put, it would get confused. Like, well, don't you want to talk about who you are and that stuff? You don't want to talk about it. But we could create a prophecy agent, right? Which is like basically another intelligence that could talk to this person, but then can also, if you just wanted to focus on that, then you could do that kind of stuff. and then reach out and do all that kind of prophecy work, like you said. But what it really is doing is building up this whole constellation of different agents that
Yeah.
is your, like, the stuff that you're passionate about, the stuff that you care about. And then this is the cool part is eventually, once everybody else comes around and realizes it's not going to destroy us all and all that ridiculous stuff, they'll agents will talk to each other. So other people will make theirs, and they will want or need to probably reach out to your individual agents to, like, hey, help me understand this prophecy thing. And then you can just communicate back to them in a way that's like different intelligences talking to each other. So
And you could even like that's where the future of this goes, where you have agents, assistants that you train yourself. Like, hey, every day, at 7 a.m., give me the headlines about planets in space that are being discovered, and there's any articles. And just keep taking that data every day and have this agent always looking at, I don't know, let's say you're really obsessed with like where the financial market is. Like, give me this from this site. I trust this one. And I want to know like the summary, and keep recording the summaries of this and helping me find the patterns of what's happening with gold right now or something like that.
mhm.
Like, people have no idea that we are at, like, I am a Leo, so I'm just gonna say, like, these other astrology people, they're so far behind right now. They're not on it. They didn't get it. They tried to do the like, let me show you this cool old way of doing like a software program. And so they're really far behind because they didn't think like the technology and the AI would go to these amazing places, and they didn't do the work and they didn't set it up. And that's what we've done. So it's like, that's where, to me, it's like, oh my gosh, like, people don't realize, like, with video gen that's out, but not yet available yet for any business like us to implement it into a system like this, especially with augmented reality, with glasses, VR sets like Meta. You This is where like Anne's gonna come in soon with the history part, is go, okay, here's your birthday. Which people in history, because that's kind of like how like Astro theme works, where it's like, oh, okay, like you're just like this person, like you're just like these people, right? But like Anne and I have had this vision of like, take me to the person who has the most relatable astrology in history, and that they're going through when they went through the same transit I'm going through 500 years ago, what was the history like, and put me in that, but how that would look for me today. What was, did they do the right move? Was this the right direction, or was this the wrong direction?
You're 100% right. Like I've met with people who are already thinking in that direction, in all kinds of different domains and stuff. But that's definitely the future. That would be amazing too, and it's a way better way to learn all this
Correct.
than the old classic. And it's like whoever's there, it's not like it's taking over Anne's, like, all the stuff that she puts out. It's using her intelligence to help craft this other new thing, right? It's like a
Of
complete,
course, yeah.
yeah,
And that's where, like, her and I've done that research. It's like, okay, like, having a history professor find the right API, because like we could get Encyclopedia Britannica put in, right? Like, that's cool. But how much of the history is really there, right?
right. It's totally distilled down. It doesn't have her
It
unique.
does, right? And that's the thing about APIs, is like, they're fun because it's actually good to have it. But then you add somebody like the history that Anne has, or all the history of the stars that Anne and I have, but especially Anne could be picking out, like, it's kind of like, to me, kind of like the history Avengers, kind of like, okay, who are the most important people in history, right? Like, and inputting all their astrology and all their things, and having it to where it's like, you're more relatable to this, you're the closest to these people, and we have all this robust history, and it's not just the generic version of it, it's here's this version of it, And we know during this time, the world was going through this lens of it. And now we're in the world where we already are getting all this lens and the future lens. Now it's giving you more of a robust understanding. And then when you add, vid gen, and then when you add VR gen in vid gen in the future, like we are prepared. And that's where this is a long-term journey. Like this is the Hypergate that I taught for the last 5 years and what I saw the future as being. If anybody's taken all those schools, this is literally what we got to, was right here. I'm in the Hypergate right now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just for a second, I'm in this motherfucker right now. Right. So I think that's what's like so cool about it. You know,
go back to the screen sharing thing, because that brings
Yeah.
up just probably the last thing I wanted to go over. It's really, which is seemingly simple, but has like huge implications. So just in my house here, I have like one of those dream spell calendars, that like
Yeah.
Gallus sort of thing. And so because of the way the vision models, I don't know if you can see this here, but I just took a screenshot. I just took a picture of what today was on that calendar, and then just asked Hypergate, what do you make of this? Like right before. And it said, like, hey, let's set with this for a moment. And then brought up the 13 moon dream spell. Today is May 2nd. So it's like, it's visually seen. I don't have to sit there and type in stuff. I don't have to like and what my wife does is she'll dump like 4 or 5 different photos or drawings that she's done. Like you were saying last night, how you were like drawing stuff for the Great Big Shift, which is that opens up like a whole nother world of expression.
Yeah.
That people just don't. It's not about like taking your job away or all that other stuff. It's like, no, here's something that's way better than a keyboard, way better than a mouse, that you can actually just like you interact with through this picture. I got not only like a really complete understanding of what that kin is all about today, which is funny because it was about where was the thing? Oh, it's the wild card, unpredictable, electric, demanding surrender to the process, or something like that. But then because
What card is it? I know the kin really well. Or what
kin
kin is it?
39 blue cosmic storm or something like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And guided by abundance, which I was like, all right, that's kind of cool for today, right? But then what it did is, because it's geared more towards all the astrology stuff, it mixed that one image, just the image, with all the stuff about the sun and Taurus today. It lines up eerily well with today's sky. And then went to my natal chart and then just talked about, okay, well, today is a day of letting go of control, all that stuff, trust the process. And to me, that's like the future is like not even worrying about your keyboard or whatever, just having all these really elevated experiences that you really could not have like any other way.
I agree. I mean, because that's where it's like I used my iPad for this big sun sign 8-hour decade horoscope I did, right? And it was like in my head, I'm like, okay, I want like the sun sign at the top, but I want Pluto, I want Neptune in the middle, and then I wanted Uranus to the right. I didn't want it I wanted to read it backwards instead of forwards, like you would think. And then I wanted the column lines. So I could have spent 12 of those. I could have spent, I don't know, an hour minimum probably to make those, right? But all I did was just draw up the idea, and then I just threw it in, and I'm like, okay. And then I want it to look 1500s Renaissance Tudor style.
And then just did it. Yeah, it's like
It made all 12 of them, and I was done, and I put them up, and then I had the charts up. So, like, that's where it's going to get really interesting for people too, of like with prophecy work, right? Like, especially like if you're a remote viewer out there and you have like you're drawing that remote view, right? So like that's where the next phase is like we're going to be doing like an affiliate program for people if they want to make money and to get other people onto this, but also finding other people out there, remote viewers, people like that would want to actually be part of this movement and actually help us with bringing their data in and their stuff to help all of the collective people that are part of this to grow more and to get more out of it, because that's the only way it's going to work.
Oh,
And
completely.
so,
Yeah.
you know,
And the more energy that gets put into it, the greater potential and abundance, right, for today. It's just it's crazy. To me, it's a very positive future.
It's an extremely positive future. I mean, this is like where the idea, I think, that maybe the spiritual community didn't ever predict, but to me, this is where it makes the most sense. As you watch how, I don't, it's kind of sad that the term artificial intelligence is what it's called. Like, I feel like it's more like, technological human interaction or something.
Well, the fun thing
THI or something, like it's more like that to me. But
well, the fun thing I heard was amplified intelligence as opposed to
oh yeah, right. So
find your intelligence.
there's no other way right now to actually take all of that. If we had some remote viewers and their drawings and, you know, human design, astrology, all of that, I mean, and it's all in, and then it's actually in live
Yep.
already there, and then using everything it knows about you or using everything it knows about the world and running a assistant that's already pulling stories and pulling that. I mean, that's where people have to realize that's where it's already at right now. It's just about whether or not people are ready to start to get on this and go with us on this journey and do this all, because like it becomes that greater part of the journey. And to me, it's, some people have been asking me like, are you going to be done with high vibe? I'm like, no, part of me doing high vibe is what's like everybody's still got to do in their life to go in this new future, your work. It doesn't mean it just gets rid of my work. It's,
Totally.
if anything, it makes it more robust the more that I am doing my work.
The fact that you put 8 hours into that special, right? And like really poured everything into it makes this that much better. If you just done well, if you'd done nothing, it wouldn't be any good. But if you'd just done like I'll just do a 5-minute, 10-minute thing, you're gonna get the quality response back. That's like when people interact with it, I'm just doing like quick little what do you make of this? The more you talk to it and like even turn on the mic and talk into it and that kind of stuff, you get a more nuanced conversation. It becomes more enlivened because technically there's just more words, so it has more to build off of. So like you doing, like, you're totally right. This is why I like working with you, because you have zero resistance to any of this stuff, but you put the amount of work into it, like, you put all those hours into it, you're going to get that much greater. It's just
Oh yeah.
like 10,000 times as opposed to like 5 minutes, which might be like this much, right? The difference is like incomparable.
Yeah, good examples like on Meta, but it's actually through Instagram. They came up with AI
Oh
like
yeah.
chatbots, like avatar versions, right? So like I did this like 8 months ago. So I made like not your grandma's astrology, like badass, like, gangster grandma,
Mhm.
and it wouldn't let me train it.
Yeah.
Right? Like it wouldn't let me train it. I'm trying to train it. I'm trying to be like, no, 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 do this, and then it just would not let me. And then I have a crazy Meta account. Like my Facebook was the only one allowed to advertise astrology by birthday in the 2015, 2016. And then after the election, they got rid of that. But like Mark hooked up my account. And so I couldn't do it with my account. Like it's like there's no, and so, unless I use like Llama, but they don't have it hooked up to the Instagram thing. So that's kind of what I kind of want to kind of bridge to this last other part, is like coming from a developer for apps,
Yeah.
is that next month in June, and plus, astrologically, Saturn's moving into Aries in the next couple of weeks. We have Uranus moving into Gemini in July. So in between these two big transits, Apple's about to release and tell all the developers. It's kind of funny because I think it's only like 5% of consumers pay attention to this in June. But really, it's like the most interesting stuff that happens. And by the time you get your new iPhone in September, October, or at Christmas, whenever you buy it, like we already knew this and we already were playing with it.
Mm-hmm.
So like what's about to come out next is like every iPhone in the world's coming through this whole new change, the whole system, the UI, the way you interact with it, the whole entire look of it, iOS 19. They've already done their deal with OpenAI, and like your life is going to be now to where your traditional app. So they've already gotten rid of 50% of the apps that were from the beginning of 2008 in the store with the first iPhone. They've done a purge. Google did the same thing, and they continue to keep doing it. They're purging apps. You have to be on top of it. Like every 2 to 3 months, I have to fill out new forms, go through all these new things to keep my app alive, because they're done with apps unless it's AI.
Yep.
Because it's really not going to be like an app the way you think about it. It's going to be built into your device. Meaning, like, it's not going to be the app store's traditional way. It'll still have a vibe like that, but it's going to be like GPTs, or it's going to be these AI chatbots and all these other things and all these AI containers of people packaged up in kind of the old way to make people kind of like feel like it's that way. But that's where it's going.
You're 100% right.
And so people have to kind of get ready, because like this is where we can't do this yet, but I bet you by the beginning of next year, yeah, this could be integrated into your text message, like you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about, the multi-agentic stuff. Sorry,
yeah,
I'm excited, but the that whole thing, which is kind of like an API, but it's called MCP, which is that model context protocol thing. There won't be apps. That's very Capricorn, is apps, right?
yeah,
So now it's just going to be, hey, I want a travel blog app. Can you just make that for me? And it'll make it, but then it'll go out to whatever agents are available. So it'll, and I want to be guided, on my journey based on what's happening in the stars in my chart. And then so it'll grab from this and pull that into there. So it's like you're creating your own world without having to rely on, oh, I'm going to push this button and then this button, and I get just this amount, deterministic sort of calculated thing. You actually get to live in your own experience. You're living in your own experience anyways, but it's a lot more fun with all the different.
Yeah, and so like you're already living your own experience in this, but imagine now it's integrated with your phone, and like that's the next level. And then Google's doing that through Android with Samsung. Like Samsung's doing a really good job of like having that integration. And so that's what's on the radar here as a developer from the app world. The old 11 years I've had an app. It's like, oh my God, 11 years. So I've seen it. I have all my screenshots when it was those old iPhone app, like, it took forever. But like now for me to see it's all changing, this is like the other thing that I just hope people start paying attention to, because, a lot of people are going to say it's AI. A lot of people always tell me for years, oh, I have an app. I'm like, what app store? It's like, no, it's just a website still. Now, this app means it's an application of AI. So you have to remember, like, yeah, we can go build an app for this, like a mobile app. It's just the same thing, though. It would just be an app, and it would just be the
It's
chat.
like a total shell for it. And the nice thing about this is anybody can use it. A small team, right, which is just me
Right.
and you, can build something that's like super powerful that anybody on any device can use. And
Right.
they have, if when it blows up, and I would probably wait, now that all that stuff about Apple you're talking about, to see what it is that they have, because it could be they just have some little plug-in thing that's like, oh, do you have a MCP? So like, just hook this into here, and
Right.
all of a sudden you have instant connection distribution to hundreds of millions of different people that would get something out of it right away.
Yeah. And I think that's like, everybody on Hive has been dying for these AI talks, right? I'm sure you've been seeing in the comments, like, like, will you just like, because when I just did just the image gen just for all the sun signs for their, decade, right? People are like, I learned so much from how you prompt, because it's like, I don't think I just, and I think that's the barrier for people is like, what you have to realize about AI, especially in the, like, it's not just consumer. This is also in how you're creating your world. It's a little scary because it just is this terminal with write whatever you want in there kind of energy.
Mhm.
And it will help. We help you guide you as long as you want. But where the real power is in you starting to have the courage to go, I have this really weird idea to ask this and to have it do this for me. The
Yep.
more you keep doing that, the longer you do it, you will you will get more out of it than you've ever gotten in anything in your life that you've ever really done. I swear to God.
Yeah, 100%. That's why I love that you get it. Thank you for getting it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I just have always been into it, right? Like I've always been into technology. So the second this came out, I'm like, this is going to change the world. And
Mm.
yeah, and that's why you never saw me in videos going, we're all going to die from AI.
It's ridiculous. Yes.
But I think that's where to be honest though, you see a lot of companies slashing people. It doesn't mean that everybody's gonna lose their job, but it does mean that like they all like nobody knew we were doing this in the background, right? For the after the beta. You know, you have to think there's a lot of companies right now who are like, well, I don't need that person anymore, or that person. But like there is a way for you in your life to do what you've always wanted to do through this too in like life. And so I think it's like instead of looking at what it's taking away, it's more about you stepping in yourself now into what you could do with it. It's not like you're like turning into like some sentinel or something in the
No.
matrix. You know what I mean?
Can I do my animator story? And just
Yeah.
about the transition. So I used to be an animator for Disney and DreamWorks, right? Hand drawn. I spent hundreds of thousands of hours learning how to draw to be like, the classic Disney animator. I finally get my dream job, and then maybe a couple months into it, I think it was either on Pocahontas or on Hunchback, they invite
Mm.
us to go see a screening of Toy Story, but like just the opening sequence with Andy's birthday party. And we went and watched it, and then we all walked out, and everybody was just stunned, just like looking at each other, like, "Well, now what the hell are we gonna do?" Because you could see like that was the future.
Oh wow, that was like what, like 2000 or 99?
We won't talk about the years, but it was quite a long
No,
time.
because I'm OC and I saw Toy Story at the first IMAX theater in Orange County, and then I saw them at DreamWorks build the building at Disneyland, the green building that's along the freeway. That's DreamWorks.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Or
I'm somebody who knows all that stupid stuff, but yeah.
yeah, yeah. So anyways, and so my whole thing is because I've already been through the you used to do this thing and now technology is making you do it a different way, right? So like from the 2D animator to the 3D animator. I waited like 5 years. I tried to hold on. I was like, no, this is my dream. I want to do this, do this, do this until until I worked on a movie called Sinbad for DreamWorks,
Oh yeah.
which like maybe 5 people saw. It was not good. And then so DreamWorks is like, screw this, we got to do 3D because nobody's going to watch these movies anymore. And then went and switched to be a 3D animator. But and all the skills that I had in the 2D translated right to the 3D. So it's not like you
Right.
get replaced by it just because there's a different way of doing it, right? There's a lot of really great stuff where before, if a character stopped or an animal stopped and you had to draw the hair and do the overlap,
Mm.
that would take forever, right?
Oh yeah.
It's fun the first time, but like maybe maybe after 3 months of it, you're like, all right, now on a computer, you just hit it and it just does it automatically because it's just a procedural thing. But it's so perfect that it looks fake. So you would actually have to go back in and put the human touch into it. So
Mm.
this is just the same exact thing. It's just in a really weird space where it's like, whoa, we can calculate like how people talk or how words flow off of each other and visual stuff. Even some of the visual stuff I don't get because I have such like a classic idea of like Photoshop layers and how all that stuff works.
Right.
But all that to say is like nowadays, if they want somebody to do 2D animation, there is one person they ask in what used to be thousand people different industry. There's literally just one person that they ask to do any kind of hand-drawn animation because he's the only one that that is left to be able to do it because everybody else has moved on to this other world. And so that's what I really like about being able to use or to be able to work with you like with this platform, because it's a way where because a lot of what you talk about has to do with like how things are changing and how times shift and like you're always thinking of the future and it's just like a natural fit into it, and for people not to get caught up and lost in all the like chaos of like how doom and gloom and all that stuff. um and just to know like once you get to the other side it's super fun. Like there was stuff I was doing last minute yesterday for today's launch that I had different terminals open, almost like there were like 3 or 4 different assistants who were writing code for me to be as I was like, "Oh shoot, I forgot to do this part. I forgot to do this part." And so one person's doing this, one like AI entity is doing this, and another AI entity is doing this. And it's actually really fun to see. At first, I felt a little guilty. I felt like it was Wally, where I was just like sitting back and just enter over and over again. Like I
Right.
was but then once I started to get bored of doing that, so that's the thing, like, at first you're like, "Oh, am I just gonna hit the same button over and over again?" Once you get past that, and then you're like, "Oh, but wait, instead of just sitting here, I could do this, and then I could do this,
Right.
I could do" right? And you're doing, like, 5 or 6 things at once. It's really fun, and then all of a sudden, you put together, the stuff that I did yesterday traditionally probably would have taken me at least 4 days, maybe 5 days, and I did it in like an afternoon because I had all this different
Yep.
AI stuff that they just released. So it's like you say, like there, it's to help because you're talking about how you always want to have like these conversations about like AI and stuff, where just to see the potential of it, like to see the hope of it, right? Like the future possibilities of it,
Yeah.
I think are just it's tremendous. And once people get past that, like, whoa, what is this thing I'm doing? Then it just opens up so much creativity and you can do so much more. So it's not like it's oh, that was the other thing. The other thing with the analogy is it's not like 3D animation made me lazier animator. I actually worked a lot harder because I could do a lot more stuff,
Mhm.
right? Like maybe like in a blink. So in a blink, like you would just draw a straight little line, right? And that would be like a little blink if you're drawing it, because you're like, all right, I got in 3D, you would do like the pupil would get bigger and then you would kind of anticipate with the eyebrows and you would do all this stuff to make it look really real because you had so much more ability to do more stuff. So that to me is like the exciting part about AI is because now you have so much more potential to be so much more creative. You can create things that you've never even imagined were possible. Like you were saying, right? Like you just get in there and just like I know it's like weird, it's just this box, I'm not even sure what to do with it, but once you start like working with it and creatively iterating over all your different images, even though some of them were a little too much, but do all the
I mean,
images.
but that goes to show you though, right? Like, I'm willing to
Yeah.
go down that
I thought they
r
were hilarious.
r I'm willing to go there, you know? I love your analogy though, because it reminds me, because since you were a Disney animator, like when Walt did Pinocchio and he added these extra lenses to make depth of field of the intro scene going into Geppetto's workshop from outside. The animators freaked out. Like, what do you mean? Like, you're gonna use a film camera with these crazy glass lenses, multiple levels to make it seem like it's three-dimensionally cartoonish coming into there back
Yep.
then.
Hmm.
So, like, I feel like in astrology, it's the same thing. Like, are everybody talks about the future in astrology, but I still see people using old charts that have they're not even using the new chart program. They're not using the new things the chart programs do. They're not really talking about new stuff. They're like, so I'm like, okay, so like, what, like, hello?
Yeah, it's like you're gonna have to get in there eventually. Well, hopefully they'll like see all this stuff and be inspired or encouraged to do because it can only make things better the more people lean into it because then there's
Well, so you want to know what's crazy? Imagine what it's like for me talking to this thing, and it's me. So a good example would be like, I'm an astrologer before Hypergate and before our beta Astromystic. I think every astrologer goes through this where it's like, okay, I'm doing 99.9% of it. I don't think about myself and my astrology. I'm thinking about the horoscope. I'm thinking about a person. I'm thinking about their chart. I'm thinking about my readings. I'm thinking about sun signs. I'm thinking about, the weekly astrology. I'm thinking about the big transits coming up, right? That's where it's at. But there becomes a moment where you're doing that, and you just kind of go, well, yeah, I guess what is going on with me? Let me look at my chart really quick. And you go, okay, I know that's coming up, but I already knew it, because it's like one of those things as an astrologer. I don't have to look at the chart, but I'll look and I'll be like, okay, yeah, I guess, yeah, I'm gonna do that, whatever. And I remember when that happened. But what's kind of cool is, like, for me, it's like, how can I set my life up better having this better? So a good example would be like, I really, like, let's say you're not that great with astrology, and it's like, hey, you've got some great transits coming up with, like, let's say Venus about money, and Jupiter. Like, a lot of people always focus on the benefics, right? So, oh, like, let's say Jupiter is going to be with your Venus for the next year. It's like, this is where you use it to ask it, well, how do I set myself up better? What are some things that you could help me with every day? What are the things in my chart that give me the power to do that with? Instead of it being like, what I think was cool in the stepping stones of astrology to get here is like, I like the pattern. That was a good app, because, like, at least they were like using astrology and they weren't telling me to wear stilettos, and they were more about the more conscious awareness. But this is where it's like, the layers are not even comprehensible of how deep it's going to keep talking to you and you, but it back, as far as you going through the experience to make, like, let's take it more basic. Let's say everybody in life has an area that they're a little bit weaker at and stronger at. So let's say money is your issue. Like, oh, I never get to make the money I want. This is where Hypergate comes in.
Mm-hmm.
This is where you start going, I'm not good with money. I don't know why I don't get money. Why is it? Okay, it's going to tell you the beginnings, and that's where you go, okay, well, how do we work this out? How, like you have to start to think of it that way.
Yeah, and it's
Because,
likely, yeah, it's likely like there's a pattern probably to when you do feel that way, right? Or the kind of transits or stuff that you're going through, and it will bring that stuff up. It'll like remember it for you to be able to.
Yeah, and so, like, the reason why people, I've had over 10,000 people do a reading with me over this last 15 years. Even it's more like 16, 17, because there was years I was doing reading before that I was doing the YouTube videos. But it's like, the wild part is, the reason why they go, I gotta get one from him, and he does it like nobody else, is because I already know their whole sun sign stuff. So that layer's coming in underneath their natal chart stuff. And I know, the next 100+ years and even farther of where all the planets are in my head instantly. And then, so that's what's in this, as we showed with the Uranus ingressing into Gemini, right? It gave all those layers to your chart, your sun sign, and the house that it's going into.
Mm-hmm.
Then based off it being in Gemini as well, and what it's going to do to us with. So that's now what, there is nothing like this out there. Like, I love all those other apps, but they say the same thing, and they just say you're in this window for 6 months, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not taking advantage of the technology. It's just like a quick way to get something out there and be like, oh yeah, it's definitely AI, but there's a tremendous amount of work that goes into it to make sure it's like personalized and has some kind of personality to it. Because it drives me crazy if it looks generic or anything like that. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, and even like the human design part's a big part of this. I know we'll probably be spending the next month going more even to it more, but
I did. It's not in Hypergate.
Right.
I'll
No,
put
I
it.
know.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I know that. That's why I'm letting people know, is like, we did all that work in the beta, but to get this version out, we focused on the astrology first. Because if you think about it, this is a good AI combo, is like, you can actually be so good training it, and then having it, okay, every time that they prompt this way, I need you to do this, and you need to call to action this, and you need to do CTA this. The problem is sometimes you can screw up if you're doing too much and then you're going too far over here, and then it almost feels like sometimes you have to start all over again because it gets too lost sometimes, especially in the older AI, right? Like it was like
Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
right. So like it's actually smarter to like go, okay, here's the beta. It was mixed in, but the astrology, we can finally get it the most accurate ever. Do that, and that's done to where now when you integrate the human design, it's not going to mess with the astrology part.
Totally.
This is coming from an AI mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's kind of funny because as you're building a Jenga set, AI can be turned into a Jenga set that falls apart really quick if you're throwing in other Jenga set Jengas and trying to do call to action on this one I'm building, and at the same time do that there, and then do that there, and then as you're trying to still build it in the middle of it, you can get that's a good little like that's like you learn that as you go kind of thing. But that's what's interesting is like some people I'm noticing they're trying to throw all these in at the same time, and like guess what? If you don't have your strong base of what it is first, it's never gonna. And I think there's going to be astrologers out there who are going to team up with the developers who are going to lead them on a long, really shitty frontier because that's what's happening if they're not fixing it. Sometimes you have to start over, and they don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's so much that you can go into, like even just looking at the responses and seeing like, well, was that even accurate? So that you train it the next time
Right.
it gets right. The lazy way is just be like, I'm sure it's fine. It's good. It's okay.
Yeah, and that's what's sad though, is because like just us doing this video and having Hypergate.ai out. You watch the next month and a half, 2 months, astrologers trying to jump and make something like this.
Mm-hmm.
I was the first one that made the first video astrology app in the world. So, after that, people started being like, oh, I'm going to make a Patreon years later after Patreon came out. But there was no Patreon. My app was next to Netflix. There was like 10 apps that did subscription-based video on all apps, and I was in that first 10.
Well, that makes a huge difference, yeah, because when we saw your crazy video on Instagram and you saw the little high vibe in the corner, it was like, what is this? And then, went into it and it was like, and then we would watch all that Love Tarot masterclass, not the masterclass, but the tarot stuff they used to do every Mondays. Super entertaining, but only because you had taken the risk to do like an actual app, an actual like, and it looked like video production. It looked like a professional, cable television.
Yeah, because astrologers weren't selling their horoscopes unless it was like a special, like written one or something, right? But they weren't. People were like, well, I need to get big on the social media train. So like I was early in on that. So like, and then I was on reality TV. So I was like, okay. But by the time 2014 hit, that's when, an incubator hit me up and was like, hey, like, let's see what happens. And so it was me, and this is true. I don't talk about this much, but it was me and 20 other influencers in 2014 that this really big incubator in LA said, hey, we're first going to do a test app and let's see if you can, if your content's good. And so I was the only astrologer, of course, right? They had girls that had makeup channels with like 3 million subscribers. I was the only one in there with like 20,000 YouTube subscribers. Everybody else was at like 500,000 to 1 million. So I think everybody was gambling that I was going to lose. All 19 did not make it in the first month. I'm the only one that did. Because the content was quality, but the main thing was too that it was actually engaging and I was willing to do a video every day. And so what I taught them and then we learned was that nobody was going to buy an app for video unless there's videos every day and new content, and especially that's engaging, that they're learning from, and that actually is accurately affecting their life and changing their life, right?
Totally.
And so the lesson 2 was like, oh, okay, like, all right, I'm going to do these dailies that I had been already doing, and I'm going to take them off YouTube. And so that was in 2015 in the spring. So that was 10 years ago. And I'm the first one in the world who said, you have to pay to watch my daily horoscope.
Mm-hmm.
And to pay for it. And people like were not happy, but I was like, well, if you want a real horoscope every day, like, so to me, it's like when it comes to AI world now, it's like, all right, it's going to do the same thing. This is the top tier, but go watch and see what people are going to go try and do right now. It's going to be janky. It's going to be super janky.
It definitely won't have the same personality. And like you said, it's like, you got to doing it daily that's the only reason it keeps it alive. Otherwise it'll just die. And not to say you kill yourself, but no, if you put the love into it and you do it on a daily basis, then it's just a different extension of the work that you do. That's just a different way of doing it.
I agree. And I think that's where, a community like High Vibe with this in the future and people bringing their stuff into it could do wonders. And then people in other communities, like, this is really like the very beginning of what the new road is and how it all is going to come together, while still, the legacy stuff of like doing a YouTube video is going to still be there, of course.
Completely. Yeah.
Because actually what it is now is it's adding on the newest element, which is the more important element for the future, which is that is how you get the data to train it. Unless you talk or have a podcast, let's say, that's not video. If you're a podcaster, you could take the audio and transcribe it that way. But that's where people also need to be careful. If you're a YouTuber out there, I hope you haven't turned on that to train all of your YouTube videos to Google, right? Like, they've been pushing hard. I laughed with you last night because I have 15 emails from India to, some places, God knows where, that have offered me 50 grand to just use my videos to train. And I'm like, that's it? 50K? Unless you hit me up with 500 million.
Well, we'd have to talk
back on all of them, because like, that's the thing, is the data. All these companies now are dying to get data.
Yeah, to give it some sort of, like, because they can already see, all right, well, this is sort of generic, and the quality that's coming back is not that good. We need more current, up-to-date stuff. And like you said, you're one of the few people that does a daily thing, so everybody else that's just doing maybe once a month or once every 3 months, that kind of thing, it's not enough to make a difference. So yeah, they're just always trying to figure out a way to do that. But if they do offer 500 million, then we should have talked before you say no.
Well, that's my number right now. Yeah. You know what I mean? My moon in Taurus is like, well, half a bill, yeah, half a baby B, right? Okay, yeah,
I'll sell out for that.
Well, I mean, I would just still, I'd be like, yeah, you could use it. You don't.
Yeah,
it's still my data, but you could use it. But thanks.
They still wouldn't know what to do with it.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't. But like that's where the school aspect hits hard, because like, I guess this will be the last part, is like, the relationship stuff on this thing is insane, because it does have all of my love match classes and all that stuff. So if you want to put somebody's birthday in that you're dating, let's say, okay, everything I covered in those schools, and people know that, like, I broke down every planet and every house and every sign and what they will act like and what they will do in every scenario of every single person in existence that you could get. That's what I did at the beginning of the pandemic. Like, I literally sat there for 4 or 5 hours at a time on every school and went through every planet. And I'm like, okay, if you're dealing with a Mars in Scorpio and the 4th house or this place and they have a sun here, and I went through every single one. All of that is into this. And with the way that I know how to do readings and teach readings and how to do composite charts and all that stuff. So this Hypergate will literally be like, is this person good for you or not? And where can you pay attention to like if they do this, this is what it's actually triggering and stuff like that. It's that deep.
Completely. And because it's like you don't have to hit a certain button and you don't have to type in, then you can just conversationally just say, oh, I'm in a relationship with this person. I think they're here, this kind of thing. What does that look like? And yeah, it'll just grab from all the different stuff that you've said and help answer that question for you as best it can, to be able to do that. And then part of my future plan would be to set it up so like it gives you that answer, and then it says if you want to go into more detail, check out this masterclass class episode 3 or whatever at 10 minutes 15 seconds into it. This is where Dave talks about that kind of thing, and then you can just go watch it, so then it becomes
Right.
interactive too with all that stuff. I think that would be really super helpful for people too, to get like the surrounding material with it, and then also to see it in line. I'm sure by that time I could just grab the video and put it there right on the screen.
Right.
Once
Yeah, I mean, that's where, I mean, this is going to be it, especially just what's happening in the next month. They're in the tech world, they're about to release what they've been working on that none of us have all seen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's going to go, and that's where like ASI is the, like,
Yeah.
we're at that place where I think they already have it. They just are like slowly releasing it in.
That's my guess for Saturn Neptune. That's what I think next year.
It's ASI, yeah, for sure.
That would be my guess.
For people who don't know that, like there's super, like the true like singularity of where it knows everything about all of this and is aware at the same time.
And coming up with new novel stuff that no one's come up with.
Correct.
Before. That'll be the thing. That'll be like, oh.
But my thing is, I'm like seeing that happening already.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think it's cool for people if they really, I mean, hey, if you're too scared and you don't want to be like a John D and an Everett Kelly, like, yeah, I get it. You can go be like,
Totally.
You can go be like, what's his name in old history? He's so boring. He's the most boring astrologer, but I forgot his name for the moment, but yeah, you can go be like the ones that were too afraid to touch any of the stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
But like that's where it's already kind of happening in that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know if it'll be like exactly at that 0 point or whatever, but
right.
Definitely the trend is going that way, where the next year at least everybody will be fully aware of like how things are going to be different.
I mean, how on a simple way is like I don't even type words correctly, right? Like
no, totally
right. I get the word wrong unintentionally, and I'm just like, I'm too lazy to even try to I'm too lazy to use my mouse and just like correctly spell it.
Well, like iOS
and it knows everything, and no problem.
I don't think people know that. You don't even have to spell correctly. You can just kind of, and you can mumble into the microphone.
Yeah, like my sentence doesn't even make sense sometimes. I'm like, oh, it's not going to make sense because it made sense of it. It knew.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's great because it doesn't matter if you write it perfectly out right. There's a lot of resistance into like, oh, I got to make sure I spell everything correctly. If you're just like real and you just like whatever you do, and it picks up on your intent. That's what.
So that's what happened in the image generation. So that also is transpiring in these new models as far as chat goes. Is that when Flux came out, it actually was like, no, we don't want you to get very descriptive. The models got better and the prompting got shorter. Like it does, the more descriptive you get in imagery for Flux models, which is actually what they're running in the background, like with the GPUs and stuff. That's why you don't like, that's why now I just put like cinematic, realistic, I don't have to be like IMAX, cinematography, blah, 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 blah. No, it wants that simple thing and it pops. it'll blow your mind, like, that's actually because 'cause I'm in the PC world with the, like, my GPU with my own container to build image gens and downloading models that are 20 gigs a model, right? So I'm, like, running terabytes of data and then using my GPU to generate an image. Sure, I get to, like, maybe play around and do some crazy stuff, but it's like, I've had to learn through that, is like, oh, the more complicated you make it, the more it doesn't turn out that great, you
Right.
know?
Yeah. And it's just more, like I said, it's just the effortlessness of being able to create and collaborate with the whatever it is that you're working with, right? It just makes it.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah, so, like, this journey's gonna be awesome. I love the journey with you, Jim. It's been
Yeah.
awesome, you know? Astro Mystic was always, like, my little, like, dream child, but actually it was always Hypergate. But it's weird because I teach in Hypergate, all the things have to line up,
Huh? So
and that's where the planets are, that's where we're at, and it just makes more sense that finally we can fully do a launch now that it's like, "Here you go, it ain't no beta." The beta part of it now is for more future stuff, like the stuff that, like, we can go to these next levels that, we'll be having, like, lives like this to go over stuff. So it's gonna be a very much more, like, integrated, robust, and fun adventure together, but also whatever you're doing on your own with it. So,
yeah, completely. And definitely like a much more fun experience because I won't have to constantly try and fix the old way of doing it, which was the old way that OpenAI had.
right, yeah,
Now the new one, it's like set and everybody can see. I'm sure if people are coming from Astromistic, like, whoa, this is way faster. You won't get those errors and stuff, which just makes more free time to do all the cool stuff you're talking about, right?
yeah. I mean, like, there's like some cool products that came out in astrology over the years, like make your own astrology book. You could use this for that now,
Oh, completely. Yeah, totally.
and it
Yeah.
will be way better. It won't be the same one that they're doing for everybody,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
right? So if you see like those astrology books, it's kind of like, I mean, like people could be running their own businesses using this in
oh,
astrology.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So like if you wanted to make astrology like birthday books for them, you're
Mhm.
gonna get it to where it blows their mind.
But that, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, yeah, and anybody once people become more comfortable with like making their own apps, basically, just
Right,
plug into it. They'll just be like, I don't. You won't have to like train it all this the knowledge that you have. You can just reach into it, take what you
right.
make your own thing. Like, yeah, absolutely. That's why I like working with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, such a
But
future.
that's where I think it's cool for people to, like, do that. What's cool with this too is I think, right, they could upload an image, right, like,
Oh
too?
yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah, you
So,
can up
like
as many as you want, all kinds
yeah,
of things. I think as many as you want. And then you don't even have to say anything. You just upload the picture and just hit the arrow and send it up, and it'll already know like, oh, okay, I think I know what you're getting at here.
right,
Be able to come back with something that's a reasonably intelligent, at least in the realm of what the domain is right now, which is astrology and natal
right.
and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and so in the next 2 weeks too, like, we've been looking at some cool new website design.
Oh
We'll
yeah.
put, like, a roadmap and, like, future stuff that we want,
And if anybody has
you know?
suggestions too of stuff they'd like to see, that
Yeah, because that's really important is especially in roadmaps for tech companies, is like what users want, and then us to go figure it out and make it happen. That's the most fun, and that actually makes us excited.
yeah. Well, because it becomes a living thing as opposed to just this like
Yeah.
this one like a siloed off little app that you have to click on. It's like something that can grow with the community, I think is great. I love that.
Yeah, it's so cool. Well, I appreciate you, bro, and I'm glad that we were able to do this and launch this together, and all those
Well,
people too that really helped be on Astro Mystic and be our beta testers with us, because the without you, we wouldn't have really been able to get to this space.
yeah, and definitely, and I wanted to say too, like I said, I found you like 5 years ago or whatever. Um, and it's just always great to have somebody where it's like, oh man, this things aren't going right or things aren't going well. What's going on? To just be able to like watch one of your videos or whatever and just be like, oh, okay, it's just this. It'll be changing anything. And so I just want to say thank you.
Stop, Judd. Of course, it's my brother. How funny.
That's very loud.
My Virgo brother, you know.
Oh, there you go. He's jealous. I would say no. I just wanted to say thank you for all the inspiration and stuff, and I hope I'm very happy that I could help contribute to getting kind of like the whole story of everything that you talk about just out there. It's really fun. And
oh, dude, you're so appreciated, man. Like it's even in my astrology, like to team up, right? Like it's not. I've done. You and I are very similar in doing everything ourselves. So for both of us, it's this journey of like, oh wow, we both come with these awesome talents and doing it together. And I think it's also what everybody in the world has to be doing now is like start bringing your talents with other people's talents and start helping everybody else out. And if everybody did that, I mean, this would be a way different world. And I think what's great about being in, whether it's Hypergate or AI or any other place that's there, it really does get rid of all the noise that's out there right now. Like it is the new place that is not that noise. So people are so afraid of the place where there isn't the noise that you're the one charting your direction, not the legacy media, not these talking heads. Like, and so like, if anything, that's like the way to bust through, which Pluto and Aquarius, to me, the way you bust through it is like you go in the opposite direction of where they're telling you to go in a weird way. It's like, you know.
Yeah, and it's funny you say the thing about collaboration because that is something I'm learning. So you saying that, it's like this is like the perfect project to push those boundaries, to work with others.
Yeah, because I don't think it's about avoiding the noise. I think it's about charting the path that's where you connect with other people, and we have to connect with people. We have to connect with others, and we have to be able, and that's what's weird is people might think AI is about not connecting people. It needs other people, and it needs other people making cool things to connect everything together. That's what it's about. So it's actually very social. It is the new social media too. Like I think this is the end of social media. If you're it feels boring and dead, and I think this is what's going to make it bring to life that people are going to socially be coming together with these skills and talents and building projects and fun, spiritual, or just creative or any direction there is. I mean, you know, that's what's so awesome about it. So I truly appreciate you. And yeah, I'm so stoked. And I'm even more stoked that we launched it on the one day in the whole year where the energy is like, freaking go.
You told me Monday, you're like, okay, it's got to be Friday. I was like, what? Like, this is the one day. He's like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah, I was like, this is the moment, you know?
Yeah, so cool. And I mean, you just said it perfectly. So thank you so much. Yeah.
Well, thanks, bro. And anybody out there, it's just very simple. Hypergate.ai, and just you can join up there. There's 3 different tiers that you can get. And that's the best part is the old version, Astro Mystic, that beta was way more expensive.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, because we were pushing limits with what was available then. Now we're at a place to where the price is way down and you get 10 times more than you could ever do. And you can do everything that you've ever dreamed of. So that's really when you know you're taking some new venture. And we're not at the new venture point. We're at the place now to where it's like, hey, this is a deliverable that's amazing and truly been a lot of great work. And so go to hypergate.ai.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
All right, everyone. Well, thanks, Jim. I'll be always talking to you and hope to see all you guys, somewhere in the Hypergate. All right. Take